Is that cool or is that cool? So, are you are you just worn out from that? I know labor's hard and everything. You're looking good though. You're looking you're looking awesome. That's right. Yeah. Okay, what to do when you don't know what to do. The word words appears 29 times in the book of Proverbs alone. And so it's an important thing, and we're going to be talking about the use of words today. There was a survey that was done in 2007, and it said that the conventional wisdom was wrong. The conventional wisdom is that women talk twice as much as men. And a 2007 study said that that is wrong, that women speak only slightly more than men. But a 2013 survey argued that the conventional wisdom is indeed correct, that women speak 13,000 words a day and men speak slightly more than half of that. To which a woman said, well, of course we speak more than men because they don't listen to anything we say. We have to say everything twice. To which a man said, it's shown in the Bible in Revelation 8:1 that men get to heaven 30 minutes ahead of women. And if you'll see, hey, you can make up your own mind about this and have conversations on your way home. Men, women, do we talk, one more than the other? Well, I don't know. It depends from culture to culture, from individual to individual, but I can tell you from our own family, when our oldest was born, Joshua was talking the moment he emerged from the womb. And it was like whole sentences and stuff. Our daughter, however, we were very concerned about Jessie, that she was never going to talk. And so we really were concerned, but she didn't need to say anything because her older brother supplied all the words. So I don't know how that goes, but it does tell us this in Proverbs 13:3, out of the New International Version: he who guards his lips guards his life, but he who speaks rashly will come to ruin. The Message, it's not a translation, but a paraphrase, puts it like this: careful words make for a careful life. Careless talk may ruin everything. So this is what I want to talk about today: careful versus careless. And so we think about careless words and the impact that they can have on us and upon other people. And there was in World War II, they had propaganda that was going from all different sides and places. And one of the propaganda pieces was this: loose lips sink ships. Perhaps you've seen the poster. There's a poster that is right here: loose lips sink ships. That was the American version because they were concerned that people might talk, that like soldiers that knew things, and that they might say something and that could get out and the enemy could hear it, and it could share classified, very important military information. So don't be talking. Well, the English had one as well, and they said keep mum. M-U-M, keep mum, don't say anything. And they also said careless talk costs lives. The German equivalent, their propaganda said, shame on you, blabbermouth. So different ways to say it. But a gossip, as we know, a gossip is somebody that talks about other people. A bore is somebody who talks about themselves. And a brilliant conversationalist is somebody who listens to you talk. So, using your mouth, using your speech. That's what we want to talk about today, and how it is that we can be careless, how we can be careful, that there are different ways that can be done. And here's some quotes. Many a man's tongue broke his nose. You understand, you say something and you get it in the nose. Every chance you get, shut up. That's a Mennonite quote, according to Sean Groombridge. If talking gets you into trouble, listening seldom does. It's not only what we say, it's how we say it. And so I could say, that's great. Or I could say, that's great. Or I could say, that's great. It's the emphasis, the voice inflection. Husbands and wives and children and parents know the eye roll. You don't have to say anything to communicate. Body language, facial expressions say so much. And anymore, it's not only what you say, but it's what you type or what you text. And rather than hitting the button that says send, we should sometimes maybe consider hitting delete. And so these things are happening all the time, and there is a sense in which we can be careless, or we can also be careful. And that is, better the feet slip than the tongue. You think about the dangers of what happens. It's better to fall than it is to misuse the tongue. Ecclesiastes says that there is a time to be silent and there is a time to speak. So when we're talking about this, we're not saying don't say anything, but there is a time that it is appropriate to speak up. Proverbs talks about how that words can be very pleasant. Pleasant words are a honeycomb producing honey, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. And so there's a way in which we can go about speaking that's going to be something that is healing, something that is life-giving, or something that is crushing. I've said before that the magic ratio, according to John Gottman, a marriage psychiatrist and psychologist, that he has said that the magic ratio in marriage is 5 words of compliment for every criticism. It's not 5 to 0, but it's 5 to 1. And in the course of our 39 years together, Dana and I celebrated that yesterday. We have had plenty of opportunities to do magic words, 5 words, 5 good words to every criticism. And you think about that in other networks, and I think that becomes an important standard, an important way to look at life. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 3 things. Number 1, we're going to talk about something that may well be impossible. How is it that I can tame my tongue? And so from James chapter 3, he wades into this and he says, when we put bits into the mouths of horses, this is his first illustration. Think of a powerful horse that has the little bridle and the bit. To make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal, or take ships as an example. Although they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they're steered by a very small rudder. So horses with bits, ships with rudders, wherever the pilot wants to go. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest. Here's this third illustration. So there are horses and there are ships, and now forest fires. How a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole person. It sets the whole course of his life on fire and is itself set on fire by hell. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and creatures of the sea are being tamed and have been tamed by man, but no man can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. With the tongue we praise our Lord and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come both praise and cursing. My brothers, this should not be so. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers, can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. In other words, this ought to be consistent and we should live with integrity. Now we know that the problem is not really the tongue. The tongue is just a bodily organ that is doing what the brain is telling it to do. And so the brain has information, the tongue responds to that and speaks. So the problem is not really the tongue, as if it were a physical organ that needs to be cut out, any more that it is a hand that's steel that needs to be cut off. The problem is what's within the heart. And this is what Jesus said, "For out of the overflow of the heart the mouth speaks. The good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him, and the evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in him." So when we say something, it is a reflection of what's going on in our thoughts, in our hearts, our affections. And so it becomes incumbent upon us to really pay attention to what we're saying. What we're saying is going to be based on things like fear or faith. It's going to be based on whether there is scarcity or abundance. It's going to be based on how we judge others with the grace and the love of God, or whether we condemn them because we don't feel that they measure up to us. And so envy, we're envious, so that's why we tear somebody down. We're angry because somebody got our place and we push and shove and we say things that are harmful and cruel. We're full of pride. And because of our pride, we don't like someone else getting the spotlight, so we can talk about them behind their back and we can do all kinds of things. Somebody that is a member of our church that is a nurse practitioner. And she told me the other day that she goes into homes and takes care of veterans. She works with the VA. And that there is one gentleman who is 101 years old. His name is Leroy. And she said that how much she enjoys being with these folks. She said Leroy's grandfather was captured in Africa and was put on a slave ship and came to America. This was his grandfather. And he's a veteran of World War II. And she said there's not a lot of those, but they're more than you would think. And so as she was around him, she sees him every 3 or 4 months. She asked him recently, she said, "Man, with all of the stories of your life, you're 101. Can you imagine?" She said, "What would you have to share with me? What words of wisdom would you have to share with me?" And this is what Leroy told Shirley. "It don't matter whether you're black or you're white or you're brown. If you're stupid, you're stupid." And he added, "You got to be kind. That's what matters." And he completed his thought with, "And these people running for president aren't very kind." There's a lot of truth to that, isn't there? You know, it doesn't matter about certain things, but it does matter about other things. And stupid is as stupid does. Stupid is as stupid says. And so this becomes something that we got to pay attention to. That we want to control it. The second thing that I would say, and this may be a new term for you. It's really not, but we don't maybe talk about it a whole lot, but it's called self-talk. You know what self-talk is? That's what you've been doing. In the last minute, you've had 10 thoughts. In the hour, you're going to have 600 thoughts. Through the course of today, you're going to have between 9,000 and 10,000 thoughts. And these are things that you think, but you primarily do not share them. And so the possibility of me holding your complete attention through this presentation is pretty remote, because you're going to start thinking about what you're going to have for lunch, or you got to do laundry, or what's going to happen with this, or will I be on time to catch my flight, and is there going to be any weather, and those kinds of things. We're thinking these thoughts all the time. We think about something, and then oh yeah, I've got to be listening to the sermon. I know that you have struggles paying attention to sermons, because I do too when I preach. And so sometimes I kind of check out for a few minutes and then come back, So you're not alone. This is just the way it is. But within our self-talk, that is what we're saying to ourselves, that we don't speak to anybody else, what do you think? Is it good? It was interesting, after I preached this at 8 and 9:15, I got an email from one of our members who has some health difficulties, and they watched online. And Gary said that they're in a situation right now where they're trying to get better, but they're physically not able to come. But he watched it online, and he said, what you had to say is really true. And he said, I'm getting up earlier and earlier in the day, and he says, I like to get up around daybreak because I have these really negative thoughts. I've been in bed. When I'm laying in bed, I'm just thinking about fear and worry, and these things just take over my soul. And he said, I can hardly wait for daybreak because I can get up. It's a new day. I see the sunshine, and I begin to think and deal with life in a much better way. We all have these thoughts. They're constantly, we can't stop them. It's like the birds, as Ben Franklin said, the birds of the air that's flying over our heads. We can't stop that. We can stop them from building a nest in our hair. So we have to be vigilant. We have to be aware of this, that this is part of what's going on, that our self-talk is incredibly influential. It's our self-talk that results in what we're going to say. And so if you're having a good day and things are going well, self-talk is much easier. And if you're having a hard day, then things can be a challenge. One of the things that I have been doing since 1985 was when I started in what's called a covenant group. My covenant group, we meet, this group, we've been meeting for 23 years. And there's one guy that I've been with this whole time. And when we meet on Tuesday mornings at 6:15, we talk about three things. And when John Wesley started the Methodist movement, it was a method. The method for John Wesley as a Methodist was that you would meet in a small group and that you would give an account of your spiritual life. So I've been doing this. This is actually how I earned my Doctor of Ministries degree, was on this very subject. And when we were in Sallisaw in 1985, I started. And so I've been in a group ever since. And so when we meet together, there are three things that we talk about. Number one, have you availed yourself of the means of grace? That is, have you prayed? Have you read your scripture? Have you attended worship? And have you been in a Christian small group? The second thing is, have you done good? And there are various things that we talk about. We talk about stewardship, and we talk about how it is that we have had a good, and let me just read the actual plank here. It says, my speech will reflect my Christian beliefs. I will witness to someone each week. I will have positive self-talk. So each week of my life, I'm going to go in on Tuesday morning, and that question is going to be asked, have I given a witness this week? Now, in this book, and I hope, as John was trying to emphasize, I hope that you'll buy this book. This has some really relevant information for Christians today. And it is a book, it's not a commitment, okay? It's not 400 pages. It's very readable, very applicable to our lives. One of the things that Kinnaman writes in this book, and I quote, good conversations don't begin with proclamations, but rather by meeting people right where they are. When we talk about witnessing, it does not mean that you have to go and present the gospel, that you have to make a proclamation. But a witness can be listening and get that person to share with you and how your faith and their lives can intersect with your own. But each week, I know I'm going to be asked the question, and I'm the group leader, I'm going to ask myself the question, and I'm going to think, how have I done? Have I given a witness? And I'm very aware that question every week is going to roll around in my life. And here also in that, it asks about this, how's my self-talk? And what have I been saying? And it's real easy to go downhill. And in this political season that we're living in, it's real easy to go downhill. And things go bad in your life, you have health problems, you have somebody you don't like, it's real easy to go negative. And that's why it is that Paul told the church in Philippi, finally, brethren, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is pure, just, or lovely, or gracious, or excellent, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things. The self-talk ought to be about positive things. And so this becomes a break. When you're thinking about your life and you're not having a good day, you need to look back and say, what messages have I been telling myself? And most likely, you'll find every time it's going to be, I've been thinking my self-talks have been really bad. I've been trashing myself. I've been trashing other people. You do something and you say to yourself, oh, you're such an idiot. Well, no, you made a mistake, okay? We exaggerate. We do all kinds of things that are not helpful. This self-talk is really, really important, and that we say good things and we think good things, and that's very important. Third is, and this comes out of 1 John chapter 3, and it says, let us not love with words or tongue, but with actions and in truth. In Revised Standard, it says in deeds and in truth. But that there ought to be action, that we don't just talk, that we have a good faith. And a good faith is not just words, it's action. Let's not love just in talking about it. Let's actually go out and do that. And when we do that, then it increases the possibility of our lives being good. So Ellen was a junior in high school, and she was an honor student and was somebody that was her junior class secretary. She's a member of the band, and she was just a good person. Kind of quiet and shy, but her whole world collapsed one day when she went to school, and she found out that she was the subject of a malicious rumor. And the rumor was this, that Ellen had come home at daybreak, drunk, and disheveled in her appearance, and that she had gotten out of the car with an older man who was driving a very fancy sports car. And when she went to school and she began to hear those rumors, she couldn't stop them. She knew that that was not true, but they said all kinds of terrible things about her. And the other students just jumped right in, and people would point their finger and laugh, and they'd make vulgar jokes about her. And what should have been the celebration of her 17th birthday instead, they held her memorial service. A United Methodist minister presided over this. She took sleeping pills. She couldn't deal with it, so she just checked out. And the truth of the matter is, Ellen had been at the hospital where her grandmother was seriously ill. And she came home at daybreak with her uncle. It was her uncle that let her out. And there was a neighbor that saw her get out and jump to conclusions and started to circulate this rumor about Ellen at school, and Ellen couldn't stop it. You know, the truth of the matter is that if somebody is saying those kinds of things, I don't know if you've ever been the victim of malicious gossip or sarcasm, or you've ever been on the receiving end of that. It is not a pleasant experience. If somebody were to if somebody was unable to go through a 24-hour period without drinking alcohol, you would say they're an alcoholic. If somebody couldn't go 24 hours without smoking, you'd say they're addicted to nicotine. If somebody can't go 24 hours without gossiping or trashing somebody, we might say that they are addicted to bad words. Our words have tremendous impact and influence. After all, it was through God's word that everything was created. God spoke things into existence. And so we likewise, we speak things into existence. Our words create certain things. And our words are going to be creating things this very day. Rather than worrying about tomorrow, let me give you an assignment for today. For the rest of the day, I want you to think about what you say. I want you to monitor your tongue. I want you to see if you can tame it. And you might want to write down what you're saying. You might want to listen to what you're saying. And you might want to listen to what other people are saying and listen to how much of it is really helpful and positive and how much of it is not. And that we would monitor our speech. Our speech is a reflection of our hearts. If our hearts are in a good place with God, our words are going to reflect that. They'll be full of praise. If our hearts aren't so good, watch out for the cursing. Watch out for the labeling. Watch out for the stereotyping. And so this is an opportunity for us this day to give ourselves to Christ in a new way. And maybe you've never thought about part of my commitment to the fact that Jesus Christ is the Lord, is that he's the Lord of my tongue, and that I will guard my mouth out of obedience to him, and I will try to live in this way. So the altar is open this morning. If you would like to come and pray about this or about anything as you come forward, I promise you that today, if you come forward to pray at the altar today, we will not talk about you. This is your invitation to respond to the gospel, which says God loves us just as we are. Won't you respond?